back on.
Welcome everybody to Intensity Broadcasting. My name is Josh Hall. This is the Sim Rap Market National Series Racing League here from beautiful Watkins Glen, New York. Getting ready for playoff race number 2. So far we got about 10 drivers getting ready to make the race here tonight. doesn't mean that we don't have more stragglers going to make their way in. Of course, we want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. Whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or over on Kick, don't forget that like button, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bar so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcast. Of course, next week we will have our back-to-back weeks here in the Sim Wrap Market National Series. Of course, as you can see, let's take a look at our points coming into tonight. We do have some playoff standings for you here. You see Eric Schaefer, currently your points leader over Cedric Hunter. Although Cedric Hunter is locked in to the next round with his win last week. Warren Kyle Keith currently sits in third, although he is fastest on the leaderboard here tonight. And then you have Craig Lautenschlager, Jacob Jorgensen, and Josh Lokovitz. I'm sorry, Warren Kyle Keith, Craig Lautenschlager, and Jacob Jorgensen rounding out your top five. Josh Lokovitz sits back in sixth. Tony Kivett, Jason Hastings, your top eight. They are currently the ones who'd be moving on at the end of the round, although we've got Brad Titus, Kyle Benson, Craig Parks, and Spencer Gay trying to sneak their way into the next round as well. So it's going to be an exciting one here tonight. Of course, while we've got a moment, let's have a quick word from our series sponsor, Sim Wrap Market. Of course, all links to our sponsors as well as our partners are listed down below. Of course, if you're looking for a brand new wrap, check out simwrapmarket.com. Of course, if you're looking for a brand new way to experience sim racing, check out the Butt Kicker over at thebuttkicker.com for all your gaming haptic needs. You got about 45 seconds left here in practice. You can see the tower and the ticker will have the playoff drivers highlighted in gold. You'll also see those colors on the spoiler, on the driver banner, as well as on the valence of the cars as well. So Watkins Glen, a very tricky racetrack here. We're going to have our caution and only caution at lap 15 for the stage. Of course, double points here tonight for that stage win. And our choose will be on the backstretch at the bus stop as well. And when we go through qualifying, we'll talk about this tricky racetrack. Of course, I've been to this racetrack. Saw an awesome race there today with Chris Buescher getting the win. Shane Van Giesbergen coming home second, and my buddy Carson Hosevar bringing it home P3. So awesome race at Watkins Glen. It was a great one to watch there, and hopefully we've got another great one here tonight in the SimWrap Marketplace, or simwrapmarket.com National Series. So qualifying is about to get underway. We will have 10 minutes to do so, and we'll see who our first driver is to make their way out on the racetrack. Couple big places to make some passes here. Down into turn one, down the hill and to the right, down into turn one. A lot of wide, very wide racetrack there. We'll see some dive bombs and some passes down into turn one, I'm sure. You're going to want to get pretty straightened up through the bus stop, or through the S's, I should say, on the way up to the bus stop. But get a good launch off of turn three and down to the bus stop. You can outbrake your opponents through the bus stop and set yourself up for an opportunity to make a pass off of the carousel as well. Of course, the last two corners, 10 and 11, are going to be hot spots as well. And of course, yes, I realize that they kind of number the corners here a little different. See, up through turns 2 and 3 through the S's. And down the backstretch towards the bus stop, or as most would call it, turn 4. Down through the gears, trying to take as much curb as you can through here. Into turn number 5, also known as the carousel. Downhill, a lot of banking. It's a lot more hill here than it looks when you're in the car. Come off with a good exit here. Here's where the numbering gets kind of funky. That was turn number 5. We'll set ourselves up for turns 10 and 11 here. Both of these are great passing opportunities, especially if you can get a good run here off of turn 11. And down to the front stretch. Of course, missed a bunch of numbers there in the numbering, and that's because this series, just like real NASCAR, does not run the boot. So you go straight from turn number 5 to turn number 10. As Lautenschlager makes his way off of turn number 1. Can use, so through turns off of turn 1 and off of turn 5, they can use as much of that curbing as they need to. Of course, if they go over the curbing in turn at number 1 or over the curbing after turn number 10, it does count as an off track. However, off of the bus stop, they can, through the bus stop here, they can use as much curbing as they want. Same with the carousel coming up. As long as they don't get too far onto the grass, they're good. And off of the carousel here, running wide, you're going to gain so much time and speed by making that corner right there as straight as possible. Heavy on the brakes, down a couple gears. For turn number 10. Back to the throttle for turn number 11. And that's a lap around Watkins Glen. And here comes Lautenschlager coming to take the white flag on his qualifying attempt. I see Kyle Warren-Keith already up at the top of the leaderboard with a 1:14:31, and Craig Lautenschlager is almost a full second behind. Lautenschlager makes his way off of turn number 10 through turn 11 and down towards the stripe. He's going to come across the stripe here. And we'll stay in the second spot for now. Here's Warren Kyle Keith really wheeling it there through turn number 10, making his way to turn number 11. Ooh, really sideways off of turn 11 and down to the stripe. And Warren Kyle Keith's second lap is a little bit slower. Your point leader, Eric Schaefer, now making his way off of turn number 11 and down to the stripe. And Schaefer's going to go P2. Here's Chris Bishop, not in the playoffs here, but still trying to make a valiant run and maybe do some trophy hunting here off of turn number 11. And coming down to the stripe. And Bishop is going to stay in the 5th position for now. As we see Dusty Applin, making his way through the bus stop. Man, he had all 4 wheels off the ground there, getting into the bus stop, coming down through the carousel, trying to get down to that curbing without going over it. Just jumping over that curb there can really upset the car. Here he comes off this curb. You can run as much of that curb as you want. down into turn at number 10. And through turn number 11. Dusty has to lift a little bit coming off turn 11 there. That's going to slow him down as he's going to come across the stripe. And his second lap's going to be good for second. As Jason Hastings makes his way down and, ooh, gets a little bit of wheel hop. So that's going to disallow his time there. And wheel hop, basically these guys try to dial a lot of rear brake into the car. Mixing gears, trying to get down a couple gears. You can upset the car. Get the back tires actually hopping across the pavement. They call that wheel hop. And that's exactly what we just saw out of Jason Hastings. As here comes Tony Kivitt coming to the white flag on his qualifying attempt. Oh, you hear the wheel hop there on that 76. Same thing. Stays in the throttle, tries to loop it around, does a 360. Fortunately, it's going to disallow his second time. But you heard the wheel hop there as Kivitt got a little loose there. Well, let's we can actually go ahead and ride along here. We can hear that wheel hop happening. You hear the way the drivetrain kind of shudders like that. That is a classic wheel hop. Unfortunately, that is not the way you want to enter turn at number 1. So as we got about 2 minutes left in qualifying, we have 3 drivers left to qualify. Logan Sturgeon, Josh Lokovitz, and Brad Titus all left to qualify. Well, it doesn't look like they are going to get their qualifying attempts in, as it does take about a minute and a half just to take the green flag. So that's pretty much going to do it for qualifying. So we'll take this time again to thank everybody for joining us here tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or over on Kick. We do appreciate you joining us here tonight. While we got a moment, let's have a quick word from our series sponsor. So it looks like we have 20 seconds left before we get underway here from Watkins Glen International Raceway for round number 2 of the playoffs in the Sim Wrap Market National Series. Time is winding down. Looks like Warren Calkeith is indeed going to be your pole sitter. Again, 50 laps around the racetrack tonight. Stage at lap number 15. We will throw a caution, rack them, and stack them. And then get back underway as we take a look at our starting grid here tonight. Starting on pole, as I mentioned, Warren Calkeith in the 21 with Dusty Applin in the 18, rolling off from position number 2. Eric Schaefer, our points leader, rolls off in 3rd with Craig Lautenschlager back in the 4th spot. Craig Parks rolls off 5th with Tony Kivitt in the 76, rolling off from the 6th position. Chris Bishop rolls off 7th with Jason Hastings in the 8th spot. Logan Sturgeon will roll off 9th. Josh Lokovitz back in 10th. And Brad Titus back in the 11th position. As the field is lining up here on the front stretch behind the iRacing Porsche safety car. Looks like we're just waiting for 2 more. Oh, we just had another driver join in. So Parker Bland will also be racing here tonight. He's going to start from the 12th position. So it looks like Bland just was able to get into the race at the last second. Yes, we'll have about 10 more seconds before we get going here tonight. Here we go. Field is about to roll. And everything is backwards here at Watkins Glen. You see the pole sitter going to be on the right side of the racetrack for the inside lane down through the corner. Of course, the pit stalls are backwards as well. The fueler will be on the right side as opposed to the left side here. So a little different look for a lot of these drivers here tonight. As the field makes their way up through the S's. And down through the backstretch. Keith trying to get a little heat in those tires for a good start here. Of course, tire wear is going to be pretty heavy on these cars. These heavy cars turning left and right here tonight, especially making their way through the bus stop. We'll see if half the field may stay to the right. Yes, they will. The other half will make their way through the bus stop here. You see the inside lane down there. And that's how we're going to choose here tonight as well. All choosing will be at the bus stop right there. If you want what's going to be inside lane to turn 1, you will go through the bus stop. If not, you'll just go straight through the runoff there, and that's how they'll do their choose. So lots of time to make a decision to choose. So here the officials kind of talk through the same thing, letting them know how the choose is going to go. So here we go. Pace car getting ready to take that hard right-hand turn down on the pit road, and Warren Kyle Keith's going to lead them down to the start here tonight at Watkins Glen International Raceway. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing down into turn number 1. Keith with the advantage to the inside. Dusty Applin trying to tuck in line behind Keith. A little off course there. They make it through the first corner safely as they make their way through the S's for the first time, as we saw today in the Real Cup race, trying to get as straight as you can through the S's as they come off of turn number 3 and up to the bus stop for the first time. Warren Kyle Keith trying to use as much curb as he can to keep Dusty Applin right behind, and you see the field gets through the bus stop pretty cleanly. Looks like we're going to have a pretty clean first lap here as Warren Kyle Keith trying to keep Dusty Applin right there at bay as our top 5 now nose to tail as they come off of the carousel and down towards turn number 10. Down into turn 11 for the first time. We're going to have one clean lap here. As Applin almost gets up into the outside wall off of turn number 11. And the field makes their way down into turn number 1. Again, nose to tail pretty much for our top 5. Appling gets out of line. I thought he was going to try to make a little bit of a move, but passing up into the S's is not ideal. You see the field making their way off of turn number 3 and down the long backstretch towards the bus stop. Already our 5th place driver, Craig Parks, starting to fall off of our top 4 now. Oh, hard into the outside wall. Eric Schaefer, heavy contact with the Armco barrier, getting down into the bus stop. I'm going to take another look to see exactly what happened to Schaefer here, as you see him already out of shape. See if we can find Schaefer here. See the field making their way into the bus stop, and Schaefer looks like he might have just misjudged that entry. Makes heavy contact with that Armco barrier. So unfortunately for Schaefer, going to have to come down pit road and see if he can get any of that car fixed up. But you see that right front really towed out. So I don't see that car making its way back onto the racetrack anytime soon. Meanwhile, our top 2 run pretty much nose to tail here as they come down through the carousel. A little further back, Josh Logan's starting to catch up to Logan Sturgeon here as they come through the bus stop. Looks like Chris Bishop might have missed the bus stop as Parker Bland makes his way around, and Bishop had to get back onto the racetrack. See if, maybe he just looks like he lost it coming through the bus stop there. Catches that tire wall. Parker Bland almost gets into the side of Bishop. Bishop is continuing to roll, as we see Eric Schaefer still on pit road. Your points leader, trying to get as many points as he can here and move on to the next round. As Warren Kyle Keith continues to pull away. Oh, Dusty Applin gets a little loose there coming through the bus stop. Able to hang on to it. Loses a ton of time to Warren Kyle Keith. Of course, don't worry about that. He'll be able to catch up here when we go to the stage break. And here comes Craig Lautenschlager through and into the 2nd position. Now Dusty Applin right there on the back bumper. Trying to find his way back around Craig Lautenschlager. They make their way through the S's, and Warren Kyle Keith now has a almost 5-second gap over 2nd place, as Josh Lokovitz has some issues, and so doesn't. Looks like Brad Titus back here. No, that's not Titus. That is Jason Hastings having some issues down through turn number 1. He's going to lose a few positions, fall back into the 10th spot. It's Chris Bishop now on pit road with a lot of damage as well. We got a little bit of a battle heating up here now as Dusty Applin was able to get back around Craig Lautenschlager for that 2nd position. Go back and take a look at how he did off of the bus stop. And a dive bomb down into the carousel, much like we saw a Busher do today. And ooh, heading off track for our leader. So you see what happened to, just ran a little wide there off of turn number 10. and into turn number 11. So now Dusty Applin pulled away from Craig Lautenschlager in that second position. We got another battle starting to heat up back here as Parker Bland has caught Josh Lokovitz. And this is a battle for the 7th position. Parker, a little bit of wheel spin there off the corner. Gonna have to regroup, try to run back down Josh Lokovitz. At the same time, Lokovitz is starting to run down. Big move for Parker off of turn number 3, and something has happened to Jason Hastings. Let's go back and take a replay here, down into turn number 1. It's like we're seeing that wheel hop out of that 49 again, and just tries to get back on the throttle, spins it into that inside tire barrier. As Parker Bland has now gotten around Logan Sturgeon as well, so move Bland up into the 6th position. Now Josh Lokovitz trying to make a move here. Ooh, Parker, wild tank slapper off of turn number 10. As Lokovitz starting to run down the 26 of Logan Sturgeon. Lokovitz thought about making a little dive bomb down to the inside of Sturgeon, thought better of it. Gonna ride through the S's and up towards the backstretch. As we ride along here with Lokovitz. Oh, and Logan Sturgeon gets up into the grass there. That's gonna allow Lokovitz to get right on by. And into the 7th position. Craig Lautenschlager has a little bit of a battle heating up here as Craig Parks was just to the back bumper of the 77 a moment ago. You see a lot of damage to the front end of the Craig Lautenschlager machine. I believe that's from the damage he sustained when Eric Schaefer had some issues. Lautenschlager had nowhere to go. Fortunately, it doesn't look like it's too much damage. The only real high-speed part of the racetrack is this backstretch. That doesn't seem to be hurting him too much. As the field is starting to starting to spread out quite a bit here. Great views around the racetrack as Warren Keith now continues to pull away from Dusty Applin. Has a 6-second lead over second place, who was just coming off of turn number 11. As he makes his way to the stripe, we'll see Lautenschlager and Parks just making their way off of turn number 11 as we complete lap number 8. So just a few laps away from stage. As Craig Parks starting to eat into Craig Lautenschlager's lead here. That gap is now under a second. As we see that that front end damage really starting to affect the speed of Craig Lautenschlager, not able to pull away on the backstretch. In fact, Craig Parks has now pulled into within half a second. So on the high speed sections, it really slows down. That 77 as here comes Craig Parks. He's going to try to make a dive bomb here into turn number 10. No, he's going to stay behind Hopefully he can get a good launch here off of turn number 11. Well, he's going to dive bomb Lautenschlager down into turn number 11 and move Craig Parks up into the third position. Logan Surgeon starting to run Josh Lokovitz back down here as they come down off of turn number 11 into the front stretch. And on TV and watching here in the sim, you don't really understand how stall that run down into turn at number 1 is until you've been to the track and you've walked that hill. And let me tell you, it drops quite a bit down into turn at number 1. It's amazing these drivers are able to get these cars slowed down for the corner. You see Sturgeon jumping the curbs here in the bus stop, trying to run Josh Lokovitz back down. And as you can see on the ticker there, we do have 3 drivers who are on pit road getting damage fixed. That's Jason Hastings, Eric Schaefer, and Chris Bishop. 2 out of our 3 drivers on pit road are in the playoffs. So this could be a huge hit to Eric Schaefer's point lead coming out of Watkins Glen. But with Cedric Hunter being out as well, this gives an opportunity for the drivers in the back here to make up some ground. As, Parker Bland loses it off of turn number 1. Right in front of us, Jason Hastings makes his way. I'm sorry, that's Eric Schaefer makes his way off of pit road. So we can see what happened to the 3 here. Well, it looks like some wheel hop there. You can see the car getting out of shape down into turn number 1. Locks it down as we see Schaefer making his way off of pit road. Has to stop to avoid the 3. So Eric Schaefer will continue 6 laps down. Looks like Jason Hastings also back on the racetrack 4 laps down. That leaves just Chris Bishop still out of the... Actually, looks like he might have retired from the race here tonight. As Logan Surgeon's looking for a way around the 79 of Josh Lokovitz. We ride along here with Lokovitz down into turn at number 1. We can hear a little bit of wheel hop. Sends the 79 wide. That gives Logan Sturgeon the advantage to take that spot back away and move Sturgeon up into the 6th position. As they make their way back down through the bus stop. And Warren Kyle Keith has just come across the stripe here to start lap number 13. So just 2 laps away from the end of the stage, and Warren Kyle Keith has a almost 8-second lead over second place Dusty Applin, who just came off of turn number 1. Then it's another almost 8 seconds back to third place Craig Parks. Parks has about a 2.5-second lead over Lautenschlager, who runs back in the 4th spot. And then Tony Kivitt quietly keeping himself out of trouble. Currently in the 5th position. And then the rest of the field, as Logan Sturgeon gets really loose there off of turn number 1. So doesn't Josh Lokovitz. The back half of this field is starting to be a little bit more closer as we see Logan Sturgeon, Josh Lokovitz, Brad Titus all running within each other here. And with these long green flag or yellow flag laps. A couple of these drivers who had a lot of damage here, like the 77 launch like, oh, Josh Logovitz loses it going through the bus stop. Doesn't hit anything, able to continue on, but let's take another look at what happened to the 79 down in the bus stop here. Just overdrives it, keeps his foot in it to get it back going in the right direction, and only loses one spot to Titus. As we complete lap number 13, and Warren Kyle Keith now making his way off of turn number 5. Down through the short chute towards turn number 10 and 11. Off of turn 11 down to the stripe. And Warren Kyle Keith's going to come all the way down across the stripe, and he is going to win the stage. Just waiting for that caution to fly. I think both Warren Kyle Keith and myself were a little confused there. We thought that was the end of the stage. Looks like it's going to be the end of this lap. So Warren Kyle Keith just on cruise control right now. He lost a little bit of time to Dusty Applin, but just taking his time. Just pedaling around the track. He still has about a 6-second lead over second place Applin. And there's the caution for the stage. So Warren Kyle Keith's going to win the stage. Dusty Applin back in second. Craig Parks, Craig Lautenschlager, and Tony Kivitt, your top 5. Logan Sturgeon brings home 6. Josh Logovitz in 7th. Parker Bland, Brad Titus, and Jason Hastings, though he's a couple laps down, does bring it home in the 10th spot. Yes, Keith's going to come down to collect the pace car here. Now, while we get around here, we'll have a quick word from our series sponsor. Welcome back, and field just making their way off the carousel, getting ready to come down to pit road. The field comes down, getting ready to come down to pit road. Whole field's going to take that hard right-hand turn here. Of course, 3 sets of tires here tonight on pit road, and everybody will make their way down. As Keith makes his way down to the number 1 pit stall. Yeah, a little different for these drivers having to take that right-hand turn into their pit stall. Looks like everybody's going to make it in nice and clean. There's going to be no gambling here. Everybody's going to want to take 4 tires and fuel. Of course, these drivers will have to pit one more time. So Warren Kyle Keith gets off pit road first. Dusty Applin in second. Craig Parks, Tony Kivitt, Logan Sturgeon, your top 5 off of pit road. Of course, everything's going to change here when we get ready to choose. As the field catches up to the pace car here. And next week, yes, we'll have back-to-back races here in the Sim Wrap Market National Series. We will be heading to Texas for the final race of the round of 12. Then we'll have Michigan, Talladega, and Las Vegas in the round of 8. And finally, to crown a champion on November 3rd from Homestead Miami Speedway. So the lights on the pace car will be off this time. Field will stay single file until they get to the bus stop where they will make their choose. There you see one driver making his way back down pit road. A couple drivers on pit road. Looks like Parker Bland on pit road. Nope, Parker Bland just left pit road, so they got to make their way all the way around the racetrack. Jason Hastings, though, or no, I'm sorry, that's Eric Schaefer making his way down pit road. It's like maybe trying to top off some fuel here, or getting a little bit more of that damage fixed, as he has a ton of damage left on that car. As the field makes their way off of the S's. Of course, we want to again thank our great partners over at Butt Kicker as well. We see their logo on our screen. That will be they are the world's leaders in gaming haptics. So check them out over at thebuttkicker.com. And here's our choose. And Applin's going to choose the outside here. A couple other drivers are going to choose the outside. So it looks like Workout Keith to the inside, Applin to the outside. Row 2 will find Craig Parks to the inside, Tony Kivitt on the outside. Somebody is running the wrong number. Nope, that's Brad Titus back in the 8. Take that back. He's going to be on the outside there as well. As the field makes their way through turns 10 and 11. Pace car takes the hard left-hand turn. I'm sorry, hard right-hand turn down on the pit road. And the green flag flies. We are back racing here. So go down into turn number 1. Ooh, big move for Titus, who tries to make a move down to the inside. Craig Lotschlager has to check up to avoid the spinning 8. Going to lose a few positions there as well. As Tony Kivitt and Craig Parks go side by side through the S's. One car way out of shape. Looks like Brad Titus almost up into the outside wall as Eric Schaefer tries to make a move. Schaefer still multiple laps down. As we see, Brad Hastings has retired from the race as Dusty Applin right there on the back bumper of Warren Kyle Keith, trying to make something happen early while the tires are fresh. Meanwhile, a little further back, we see the battle going on back here. Craig Lautenschlager's lost a ton of spots. Him and Brad Titus back in 6th and 8th, respectively. Does Craig Lautenschlager have the car here to drive back up towards the front? Greg Parks missed last week's race, so he's a bit of redemption here, trying to get himself back in a position to try to claw his way into the round of 8, coming up through the S's here. And behind him we see Craig Lautenschlager is starting to make his way back up through the field here. Lautenschlager back up into the 4th spot, making easy work of these other drivers, trying to chase down Craig Parks. Meanwhile, Dusty Applin this time staying right there with Warren Kyle Keith. Maybe learned a little bit in that first run, trying to save some tires. As they're nose to tail off of turn number 1. Ooh, Applin gets a little out of shape there. Down towards the bus stop, and Warren Kyle Keith starting to pull away a little bit from Dusty Applin. Meanwhile, 3-car battle back here. Only 2 of them are for position, as Josh Lokovitz is right there just ahead of Logan Sturgeon. Sturgeon, runs off-road. That's going to allow Eric Schaefer to go right on through. Of course, Schaefer still being scored 6 laps down, but made his way back up into the top 10. As Parker Bland currently on pit road getting a lot of damage fixed. It looks like he had some issues under caution. Let's see if we can see what happened to the 3 machine. Coming down through the bus stop here, and just overdrove it coming down through the bus stop trying to catch up, and ended up on his roof, and you hear the motor pop. So that pretty much does it for the driver of the 3 here tonight. So that's another spot that Schaefer is going to gain here in just a moment. Meanwhile, Dusty Applin and Warren Kyle Keith continue to battle out for the top spot. And Craig Lautenschlager's gotten around Tony Kivitt here as well. So move the driver of the 77 up into the 4th position. And currently outpacing the driver of the 71, Craig Parks. Trying to get Lautenschlager back on the podium for the 2nd time this playoffs. Keith starts to pull away here from Appearal as they come down into the bus stop. We can see where Applin's just a little bit better than Keith. He's able to pull right up to Keith here, going down into turn number 1 and up through the S's. So in the high-speed parts, Applin's just a little bit quicker. But when they get into the more technical spots, coming through the S's, up to the bus stop, Keith starts to pull back away a little bit. Appearal trying to use as much of the draft as he can. As we see, Eric Schaefer has indeed gotten his way around Parker Bland to get up into the 9th position. Ooh, issues for Brad Titus now. Titus has looped it around here off of turn number 1. It looks like it could be another case of the wheel hops. Well, that looks like a case of just trying to get onto the throttle a little too quickly on the paint there. That paint is slick. Fortunately, Titus doesn't hit anything. And Logan Sturgeon having some issues here as well. Sturgeon down into the bus stop. Oh, did the exact same thing that Eric Schaefer did. Heavy, heavy contact with the inside wall going into the bus stop. And that is probably going to end the day for Logan Sturgeon. So being 6 laps back in 6 laps, Eric Schaefer will be gaining another spot. As Dusty Appearal continues to try to stay right there with the 21 of Warren Kyle Keith. And when they cross the stripe this time, we will be halfway through the race. But don't forget, we still have a pit stop to make as well. And this tricky track has already claimed a few drivers. Could we see a couple more drivers fall into the clutches of the Watkins Glen International Raceway? And Dusty Appearal this time staying right there with Keith. He's been kind of keeping it between just over half a second, or right around half a second, and like 3/4 of a second. So he's staying right there with the 21. Of course, a little bit longer run this time. Both drivers know they have to save a little bit here. Down into the bus stop, and Dusty Appearal right there on the back bumper of Kyle Keith. Appearal trying to force an error out of that 21 machine. As we ride along here, looking off the back bumper of the 21 machine. As I mentioned before, where it gets a little bit more technical, you see Warren Kyle Keith starting to pull away, but in the higher speed areas, Dusty Appearal starting to use that draft to pull right back up to the 21. As we come down through turn number 1, start making their way up through the S's. This is where Dusty Applin gets the good run here down towards the bus stop, using that draft. This time not as close to Keith as he was the last time they came through the bus stop. But still within half a second. You hear how long these drivers have to wait to get back onto the throttle here. As this battle goes on, this is the closest battle out on the racetrack. I see Logan Surgeon still on pit road. Eric Schaefer about 3 laps from overtaking the 26 to move himself into the 8th position. That's why you just don't quit. I know a lot of drivers, they get into an incident early in a race. They just want to climb out of the car, shut their computer off, and walk away. But Eric Schaefer showing exactly why you don't do that, as he's turned a last place finish now up into a top 10. Craig Parks, after missing last week's race, still in the 3rd position. Craig Lautenschlager trying to run down the 71, but these two have been running pretty much almost identical lap times. And behind Tony Lautenschlager, we see the 4 of Eric Schaefer, who's gotten that car completely fixed up. You can tell that car looks almost brand new. So able to get as much fixed as he could. The right front no longer pointing at the infield. He starts to run down the 77 of Lautenschlager, even though it's not for a position. Eric Schaefer giving it everything he can with that no-quit attitude. And it was Lautenschlager who had a lot of damage to the front end of his car as well, as he was right behind Eric Schaefer when Schaefer caught that inside wall entering the bus stop. Also able to get that car fixed back up. Of course, they do not run resets in this league, so he had to wait. Both of them had to wait on pit road for that damage to be fixed. As we see Lautenschlager starting to run down Craig Parks. The interval now just over 1 second. Meanwhile, back up front, Warren Kyle Keith pulling away from Dusty Applin now. What was a half-second lead just a couple laps ago has now grown to 2 seconds. And it sounds like Warren Kyle Keith might be trying to save a little bit of fuel. Yeah, you hear him rolling off the throttle, hitting the clutch there. Really soft on the throttle here. Letting it coast down into turn number 10. we listen to Warren Keith trying to save fuel up through the S's, but sounds like he's about half throttle, making his way up through the S's. Early shifting in the fourth here. Here, I'm off the throttle awfully early going down into the bus stop. Now is Dusty also in a fuel saving mode right now? It sounds like Applin is full bore right now, trying to run down that 21 of Warren Keith. It tells me that these drivers are going to be pretty close on fuel. Don't think they're going to have to take a full tank to make it to the end, but Warren Keith trying to gamble a little bit. Maybe not have to stop at all. Feather Dream Studio says hi, good to see you. Fortunately, Parker, root on Parker every time he's here. Ended up on his roof a little while ago. Unfortunately, is out of the race. Well, not out of the race. Trying to get damage fixed up to return to the race. Heard the motor blew on that 3 machine. Fortunately, sounds like Parker will be done for the day. As this battle up front is getting interesting, as again, Warren Keith saving fuel. Dusty Applin, those eyes are getting wide as he is getting closer and closer. You can hear how hard Dusty's working to try to catch that 21 of Warren Keith. Then we ride along with Warren Keith. You hear how easy he is on the throttle, letting off here. Early shifts. See if he lifts early again like he did last time. Yeah, here I'm dropping the clutch there into the bus stop, and Applin continues just to get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And needless does he know, little does he know that that 21 has been saving as much fuel as he has. As we've got our first taker down on the pit road, the 8 of Brad Titus. Coming down to get service done here in the 8 machine, although it looks like he is to the right here way early. I believe he has the last pit stall here, or second to last pit stall. As the leaders come off of turn number 11 and down into turn number 1. So does that bring anybody else down on the pit road? Of course, another pivotal race here for our playoff drivers, as we did have a couple of drivers miss the race here tonight. Cedric Hunter, your second place in points. Fortunately, with an injury, not able to race here tonight. Looks like Jacob Jorgensen also not here in the race tonight. Kyle Benson and Spencer Gay also not racing here tonight. So there's 4 drivers who are going to lose a lot of ground here in the playoffs. Spencer Gay and Kyle Benson yet to make a playoff race. So both those drivers are on the brink of elimination. They would be in a must-win situation next week at Texas, as we have 16 laps to go. And Warren Keith continues to save fuel here. Which makes me, and you see Dusty Haplin sideways off of turn number 1. Definitely not saving fuel in that 18 machine. He's trying to catch Warren Kyle Keith as quickly as he can. Now it looks like Warren Kyle Keith has quit saving fuel. I say that if we ride on board and we hear him still off the throttle there. So as much as he is saving and Dusty Applin's starting to fall back, I wonder if Applin has started to save a little bit of fuel here. I hear Dusty Applin still on it hard. It doesn't look like he's saving any fuel here as we come to 15 laps to go. There's more issues for Brad Titus. Again, down into turn number 1, right in front of Josh Lokenvitz. Catches a little bit too much curb there. A little too much curb on the exit. And yeah, hard contact for the 8 machine. With just 14 laps to go. Can Warren Kyle Keith stretch it? That's the question. Did he save enough, or is he saving enough fuel to make it to the end? That's going to be the question here. Meanwhile, a little further back, we've got Craig Lautenschlager has made his way around Craig Parks for the 3rd spot. Let's see how that pass was made. Side by side through the S's, and that is a risky place to try to make a move, but gets it done there to move himself up into the 3rd position. So after falling back so far on the initial restart and finding himself back on the podium with just a handful of laps to go. And Josh Lokovitz has now made his way down on the pit road, where he's going to make his final pit stop of the race. And we're going to see those tires go up on that 79 machine. Yes, we are. So tires and fuel for Josh Lokovitz. Going to lose a lap here as Warren Kyle Keith makes his way off of turn number 11. And goes right on by Josh Lokovitz. I take that back. Josh Lokovitz able to get off pit road just out in front of our leader. Down through the bus stop. And approaching 10 laps to go. And it looks like Warren Kyle Keith may be back on it. On the last lap, he did run a 1:16.20. His fastest of the race was a 1:14.58. So about 2 seconds a lap slower now. As we see Keith get real wide there off of turn number 10. See those lap times here for Warren Kyle Keith and Dusty Applin. Yeah, Warren Kyle Keith obviously right back to it. Yeah, he's not saving fuel anymore. As we are quickly coming, when he crosses the line this time, we'll have just 10 laps to go here from Watkins Glen. And Keith has a 7-second lead over second place Dusty Applin. As Applin now just making his way across the stripe. And third place, Craig Lautenschlager just coming down off of turn number 10 as well. Craig Parks back in fourth. Tony Kivett back in fifth as we see Eric Schaefer again with a fixed car, multiple laps down, 6 laps down. Running back in the 8th spot. Trying to salvage as many points as he can here tonight. As Warren Kyle Keith is starting to run down Josh Lokovitz a little bit here. As Brad Titus back down on pit road after that hard contact with the inside wall. Looks like he's going to come back down, try to get a little bit of that damage fixed up before the end of the race. That's going to put him another lap down. And we see a lot of the field kind of just spread out here. We can see Josh Lokovitz out in front of Warren Kyle Keith. Then we go all the way back to Dusty Applin, who's just making his way into the S's. Craig Lautenschlager coming off of turn number 1. You can see just how spread out this field is right now. The closest gap we have between cars is between Craig Lautenschlager and Craig Parks, and that gap is just about 3 seconds. So outside of fuel concerns, this one's all Warren Kyle Keith's to throw away here in these final 8 laps. As we see Warren Keith almost throw it away right there, getting sideways off of turn at number 3, down through the bus stop. And he is on it here as he comes off of turn at number 5. The gap back to second place, Dusty Applin, is about 10 seconds, and you saw the interval as Applin was just coming off of turn at number 5. As Warren Keith was entering turn number 10. And we have 7 laps to go here. Of course, for all of you just joining us here tonight, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the final laps here of the SimRap Market National Series from Watkins Glen International Raceway. It's been all Warren Keith here tonight. Led since the drop of the green flag. Has not made his final pit stop yet, though, but he was saving hard from the drop of the green of the stage back on lap 28. Had a few drivers make some mistakes. Had a couple drivers wrestle with the inside wall of the bus stop. Eric Schaefer being one of those. Went multiple laps down. Currently runs 6 laps down in the 8th position. Logan Sturgeon, another one who got into a fight with that inside wall getting into the bus stop. The other spot we've seen a lot of people have issues is down into turn 1. A couple self spins with some wheel hop down into turn number 1. But now as we got 6 laps to go, Warren Keith with almost an entire front straightaway here at Watkins Glen advantage over Dusty Applin. And at this point, it's all Warren Keith's to throw away. Sitting back in 3rd in points coming into tonight. We'll take a look again at the points coming into tonight. You see Eric Schaefer having some issues here running back in the 8th position. Cedric Hunter with a real-life injury, not able to make his way into the race here tonight. Although he won last week, so he is already locked in to the next round. Warren Keith can win here tonight to punch his ticket to the round of 8. Greg Lautenschlager currently running in 3rd. So another great run for the 77 of Lautenschlager. Jacob Jorgensen not making the race here tonight. Josh Lokovitz having some issues. You see him just out in front of our leader, staying on the lead lap. Tony Kivett also staying clean, currently up in the 5th position. Jason Hastings having a couple issues here tonight and has retired from the race due to damage. Brad Titus also having a couple incidents here, a couple self-spins off of turn number 1 that resulted in wall contact, so he's running back in the 7th spot. Kyle Benson has not shown up for a race yet. Craig Parks has been solidly up in the top 5 all race long, currently runs in the 4th position. And then Spencer Gay, another driver that has not made a race yet since the playoffs. So that gives the playoff picture. Coming into the final 5 laps of the race. Can these drivers stretch it? Can Dusty Applin, who's not a playoff driver, force the hand here of Kyle Warren Keith? I know he is 13, almost 15 seconds back, but it looks like he might be trying to save some fuel here late. Did Warren Keith save enough? That's the bigger question as we come to 4 laps to go. And does anybody else have to make their way down pit road in these closing laps? Keith getting a little wild there through the S's, catching a little bit of grass there. Not the way you want to make your way through there. Especially when you have yourself a 15-second lead over second place. And Keith has made his way back around Wokenvitz. We have just 3 more laps to go. See, Craig Parks here, gets a little loose there. Eric Schaefer right behind. And he was gaining on Craig Lautenschlager. He was almost within a second, and then had that issue there off of turn number 1. Loses a ton of time. And you see Lautenschlager really jumping the corners there, or curbs there, coming through the bus stop. As Keith makes his way off of turn number 11. Just 2 laps to go here from Watkins Glen. Do they have enough fuel to make it to the end? It looks like Dusty Applin really slowed down his car. Sounds like he's in major fuel saving mode right now. Hear how early he is shifting, trying to save all the fuel he can. He's slowed down. His best lap of the race was a 14:89. Last lap he did a 1:20.13. So going from a 1:14.89 to a 1:20.13, that's about a 6-second slowdown, trying to save as much fuel as he can. He is currently the slowest car out on the racetrack, trying to save fuel to make it to the end. However, Craig Lautenschlager not saving, trying to run down that 18 of Applin to move up into the runner-up position. Lautenschlager running about 3 seconds a lap quicker than Dusty Applin, as Warren Kyle Keith has taken the white flag. We have 1 lap to go here from Watkins Glen. And Warren Kyle Keith with a 22-second advantage over second place as he makes his way up through the S's. And Dusty Applin sees that 77 in the mirror growing larger and larger. As they come up through the S's for the last time, can Lautenschlager make a move here to get himself onto the runner-up step of the podium? As they come down the backstretch for the final time and into the bus stop, Applin's really pushing hard here. He overdrives the bus stop, catches a little bit of the grass as Warren Kyle Keith makes his way off of turn number 11, coming down to the checkered flag. And Warren Kyle Keith is going to be your winner here tonight from Watkins Glen as they go side by side off of turn number 5. Applin looks like he's out of fuel. The 18 out of fuel. Lautenschlager is going to make his way off of turn number 11 through turn 12. And Lautenschlager is going to come home runner-up. Craig Parks nursing it down to the start-finish line. He's going to finish in third. Dusty Applin's going to come home fourth. Here comes the 76 of Tony Kivett. He'll come across in the fifth spot. And Josh Lokovitz just making his way through the carousel for the final time. He will bring it home in sixth. But here's your winner. Driver of the 21 Discount Tire Machine, Warren Kyle Keith. There's a little celebration through the grass here. Now the real question is, does he have enough fuel in the tank for a burnout? As you see him doing a little Shane Van Gisbergen style drift around the track. While he makes his way around, we'll take a look at our final results. Again, Warren Kyle Keith getting the win. Greg Littenschlager comes home second. Craig Parks, Dusty Applin, and Tony Kivett, your top five. Josh Lokovitz in sixth. Brad Titus in seventh. Eric Schaefer, Logan Sturgeon, Parker Bland, Jason Hastings, and Chris Bishop round out your top 10. As Warren Kyle Keith has just enough fuel in the tank for a burnout down the front stretch here at Watkins Glen. Parks it right there on the start-finish line. And before we have our interviews, we're going to have a quick word from our series sponsor. All right, let's see if we can get a word in with our top three, starting with your third place finisher, Craig Parks. Craig, you got Josh up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Man, what a run here tonight, coming home in third. Just a wild race up there for the most part. I know it wasn't a real exciting race, but had some moments of exciting, especially on the start and restarts. Talk us through your strategy here tonight. I know some people had to make the pit stop. Some people were able to stretch it. And after missing the first race of the playoffs, good race here to try to get yourself back up in a contention.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I was so torn at the beginning of the race on whether or not I should. I was thinking about not pitting at the stage and just pitting at lap 25. And, you know, my teammates kind of talked me out of it, and I just was determined to make that last run, the fuel run, and I didn't have much. I had like 0.1 lap or 0.1 gallon or something at the end. It was just enough to get through it.
Well, I know Lautenschlager got by you at the end there, and as you were coming to the stripe, you saw the 18 out of fuel. That must have been a sight of fresh air right there, getting yourself on the podium here tonight.
Oh yeah, like I saw that and I just like, oh, my eyes lit up and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a podium. It's like, oh man, I was just it was exciting and everything. I can't tell you, I'm soaking in sweat right now. I cannot believe it. Like I was giving Craig everything I could at the end, trying to catch him, and then when I saw Dusty just out of gas, I was, oh my god.
Well, we know you missed the first race of the playoffs. Next week, we move over to Texas. Are you going to be here next week? And how do you like your
Oh
chances?
yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here next week. Unfortunately, something came up last minute for me last week, and I couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, I'll be here. Should be here for the rest of the playoffs. And I'm gonna. For this race, I did a lot more practicing. I easily put in 150 laps around Watkins Glen this week. So I plan on doing the same. I'm gonna put a ton of time into Texas and try to get the best showing I can.
Well, good luck next week at Texas. Hope to talk to you again next week. Hopefully, you can move on to the round of 8. But before we let you go here tonight, Craig, anyone want to thank? Any shots you got to give here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank SimRep Markets, not just for putting on for sponsoring the league, but also for making it so easy to make my cars look good. I've bought quite a few from them. But thanks to you guys for broadcasting, Intensity Broadcasting. I love watching you guys. Thanks to the admins here, but also thanks to DBR, the Drinking Brothers Racing Team. They've kind of taken me under their wing, and they've converted me from a road guy to an oval guy. So thanks to those guys. Big thanks to Eric Schaefer tonight. He was giving me a little coaching, pointing me out where I could be doing a little bit better. So that helped out a lot.
Yeah, unfortunate ending to his race here tonight, but able to salvage some points here. So, again, good luck to you boys next week as we move on to Texas. Hopefully, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Have a great night.
Thanks. You too.
So that was your third place finisher, Craig Parks. Let's talk to our second place finisher, Craig Lautenschlager. Craig, you got Josh up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Man, great run for you here tonight. Had some issues on the restart on the stage. I saw them stack up right in front of you, but kept your composure. I think it might have helped you a little bit, save a little bit of fuel, and you're able to drive your way right back up through the field into a second place finish. Talk about that strategy through the race and how you're able to get yourself back on the podium.
Well, yeah, you don't want to take frontal damage as early as I did. Obviously, we're kind of getting close to that wall, so I guess that just is what it is. But that first hole, the whole first run, I had overheating issues with my car. Just trying to fight that off. Really just had to. I was almost basically saving fuel the first run just to keep the car from overheating, and then ended up having to start into the back. Made a huge mistake not coming back down with like 1 to go to top up on fuel. That could have been the difference between me possibly winning the race, but yeah, I think I just did a good job saving for the most part. Kind of just shifting early, keeping it in a higher gear, and was able to just manage it well.
Yeah, Eric Schaefer had some issues there coming through the bus stop. We saw actually a couple drivers have that same mistake. Was it just a matter of drivers running too much rear brake bias trying to get the car to turn, or was there something you saw out on the racetrack that was causing these cars to have a little bit of issue through the bus stop there?
I don't know. I mean, I'd never really had any issues, but at the same time, it's one where you're trying to cut that wall as close as possible. So anytime you're cutting anything really fine and disastrous that close, it can come up and bite somebody. So I think it's just people trying to be as fine as possible, but it is what it is. It was just a miracle I didn't take a blown engine or something, because I hit the 4 pretty hard coming off of that.
Well, like you said, able to manage those temperatures and keep the car in one piece and bring it home in second. Next week, we move over to Texas Motor Speedway, completely different form of racing. How do you like your chances at the big oval next week?
I think I've got a decent shot to be competitive, if not possibly win it. Not the world's greatest driver at Texas, but I've had good cars there in the past, and I'm really good at saving my tires in the long run. So hopefully I can qualify well there and have a chance to win that one. But yeah, definitely I think is a track that's up my alley.
Well, a great run for you here tonight. Great points night for you going into the last race of the round of 12. So, congratulations on that. And of course, before we let you go, Craig, anyone you want to thank? Any shout outs you got to give here tonight?
Not really. Just the guys that put on the lead, the guys that are still coming out after MPI folded. So, yeah, just good to race around these guys, I think, and have somebody put this on. So, yeah, happy to be there.
Well, again, good luck next week. Hopefully, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, cool.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
So that was your second place finisher, Craig Lautenschlager. Let's bring in your winner here tonight, Warren Kalkeith. Warren, you got Josh up in the booth. You got a copy?
That I do.
Man, dominating performance here tonight. Winning by, looks like about 5 seconds. You had up to, I think, a 10 or 15 second lead over some of these drivers here at the end of the stage. What is it that makes this track so easy for you? Because it just looked like you were out there putting on a clinic here tonight.
It's not easy. Actually, it was kind of the track was so warm tonight that you actually had to back it up. We could be running 114s or around that for the race pace, but we kind of just backed it up to about 115 just to save the rear tires. That's the biggest thing here is just saving those backs. If you can save your backs and kind of baby them first part of the stage or first part of the run, the car will just drive itself at the end of the stage. So yeah, I mean, we had a really good discount tire forward, but kind of saving the shifts here and there kind of saved the rear tires and let us pull away when we needed to.
Speaking of saving, how about that fuel savings? We heard you shutting the car, well, not shutting it off, but coasting and clutching the car down the backstretch into one, trying to save as much fuel as you could. Was that kind of the strategy coming into the race here, or is that something you kind of saw right after the pit stops that maybe you'd be able to stretch it here to the end?
Well, the first stage, I kind of just, kind of pushed to see what the fuel burn would be like. That's why we gapped it so much in stage one, just trying to see what the fuel burn would be like. And then after that pit stop, I saw we had about 30-something laps of fuel and about 30 laps left in the race. And I was kind of debating if we should split the stage. Didn't know if we'll be able to save that much. But once we got about 6 laps in that run, and I kind of just started saving a little bit more, and that's when I started clicking her off into the bus stop. Had it clutched all the way through the carousel, and occasionally just clutching it and let it roll into third into the final couple corners there. So we were saving a bit more than I thought we should have, but I'd rather have a bit more fuel in the tank to do burnouts and stuff than we needed to.
Yeah, this is my concern was did you have enough to make it to the end and burn out at the front stretch? But man, a great run for you here tonight. Next week, we move on to Texas Motor Speedway. How do you like your chances next week at the Big Oval?
Texas is an interesting track. It's a lot more fun to race than watch. But that's going to be a good race. The track is going to be hot. If it's going to be hot, it's going to be an interesting race in 3 and 4. Track's going to get real slick. You might actually see people, slip inside and almost spin themselves out in 3 and 4. But 1 and 2 is just going to burn the right front. So it's going to be a fun balance to see who saves what tire. Do you save your right front and be quicker in 1 and 2, or do you save the right rear and be quicker in 3 and 4? So it's gonna be a fun race next week. And now that we have the win locked in, we can kind of just go and play loose and see if we can get another win.
Well, again, congratulations on the win here tonight, Warren. And of course, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank? Any shouts you got to give here tonight?
Yeah, give a shout to you. You do this every week, and do a great job of doing it. Shout out to all the organizers at SimRap Markets, for their paint schemes and also what they do for the league. Hopefully they come back next season for the new league. So yeah, can't wait to get it done. And thank you everyone watching at home.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congratulations on the win, locking yourself in to the round of 8. Good luck next week at Texas, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Have a great night. So there you have it, your winner, Warren Kalkeith, getting the win here tonight from Watkins Glen International Raceway. Of course, as I mentioned, instead of being every other week, we are actually going to be back here next week for Texas Motor Speedway. So don't forget to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. And of course, we want to thank all of our great partners that make this possible, including our race sponsor, our series sponsor, SimRepMarket.com. for all your iRacing paint needs. Check them out. A lot of cool stuff over there. I've been enjoying browsing their site as well, so check that out. Of course, our great partners over here, if you're a small-time race team looking for some swag, or you're looking to pick up some Atlee, Hatman, Weiss's racing gear, or some of our novelty t-shirts, check us out over at IntensityRacing.com. And of course, for all your gaming haptic needs, don't forget to check out The Butt Kicker over at TheButtKicker.com. And that's going to do it for us here tonight. Again, like, follow, and subscribe. And as our boy Atlee, Atman Weiss would say, over and out.